All right, hello everybody. I'm going to be teaching to you today about the sine law. So the sine law. The sine law is a rule or a formula that you can use in trigonometry. Now, in order to use it, it's used on very specific types of triangles. You're going to use it on triangles that are not 90 degrees. Okay, so you're not going to be a right angled triangle. So this triangle, I'm going to call it ABC. And you have to know how to label your side lengths. So at the top angle is angle A. That means the side across from it is little a. On the left, that's angle B. The side across from it will be called little b. And the angle on the right is called angle C. This side would be called little c. This is the type of triangle that we can use the sine law with. Now, there is sort of very specific scenarios. We're going to talk about that in a second, but that's the style of triangle we're going to use, okay? It's not a right triangle. If you have a right triangle, you should use SOHCAHTOA, or your primary trig ratios, to solve those types of questions. So this is primarily going to be for ones that don't have a 90 degree in a triangle. Now, what does the sine law actually look like? Sine law looks like this. So it's A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. Now, the way this works is it's sort of like a three-part formula, but in reality, you're never going to use all three pieces of this. You're going to make a group of two, and you're only going to use one equal sign. You'll see how this works when I use the when I create the example for you, but essentially that's the way this formula works. You make groups of two, so you can match up the A and the C, for example, or the A and the B, or the B and the C, but you don't use all three at one time. Now this version right here, this is great for finding sides. So if you're, trying to solve a triangle and you're trying to figure out what side C is, for example, that you're going to use this version of it. The reason you're going to use this version is because your side lengths are on the top of the fractions. If the side lengths are on the bottom, it still works. It's just you have more rearranging to do. There's more ways of making errors, in my opinion, if you do that. So if you need to find a side, you want to use the version of this formula with all the sides on top. There's an alternative version of the sine law, and it's basically the flipped version of it. It's sine A over A equals sine B over B equals sine C over C. This one is basically this flipped. It's the exact same formula. It's just been flipped upside down. This is really good if you got to find an angle. So if you got to find an angle, let's say I'm trying to find angle A or angle B, okay, it's better to use this version because then my angles are already on the top of my formula, and when I try and solve for it, it makes it a little bit easier. There's less rearranging I have to deal with, okay? Now, how do we know if we can use this? Because ultimately there's another rule that's going to come up, and it's called the cosine law. And you need to know, how do you know if it's a sine law question or a cosine law question? The simplest rule you can think of is this. Let's say I gave you this triangle right here. I'm just going to make one up. Let's say this is, 47 degrees here, and then this length is 7, and this one is 6. This triangle is definitely a sine law question. The reason it's a sine law question is because we have a pair of an angle with its opposite side. So in this triangle, I've got the angle of 47, and the side across from it is 7. That is an angle with its opposite side. If you have that, this is a sine law question. If you do not have a pair of an angle with its opposite side, it's not a sine law question. Now, sometimes what will happen is you may end up in a scenario maybe like this, for example, where maybe you've got, I'm just making this up. I don't even know if it's real or not. Something like that, for example. Okay. That actually is a sine law question, and the reason it's a sine law question is because you can solve for this. We can figure out this angle, right? It takes an extra step, but you would go 180 minus the 100 degrees from the other angles gives you that's 80. And once you have this as being 80, now you've got an angle on the other side, right? So that is still a sine law question. You just have to do an extra step, okay? So the generic rule is if you can make an angle with its opposite side, it's sine law question. Now, let's go ahead and show you an example of how this actually works. So let's do one where we're going to get a side length, we'll get a side length first. Okay, so I'm going to draw this triangle. And instead of using ABC, I'm going to use XYZ. Just to show you the letters don't really matter. So let's make this angle 35. That's Y. This angle will be 65. And this side is 14 over here. So this is definitely sine law. And the reason it's sine law is because I know both angle Y and side Y. Angle Y is 35, side Y is 14. Because I've got that pairing, this is sine law. Now, the way the sine law works is I can find whatever is, like if I have one part of the pair, I can find the missing part. So if you look at the Z's, I know angle Z, I can find little z right there. That's the thing I can find right now. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to make, you think of the sine law as like a 4-part formula in a way, okay? So what we can do is we can do this. We can say little z over sine z equals, and we're going to match it with the known pair. The known pair will be the y over sine y. So if you look at the version of the sine law, like it's a over sine A equals b over sine b equals c over sine c. The letters don't matter, right? I can use x, y, and z. It's just those letters got to match. So when I go here, if I want to find little z, I would go z over sine z. Oh, and I'm saying z because I'm Canadian. If anybody watches this, it's international, right? In the States, you would say z, okay? Y over sine y is the one that's known. So this right here, we have to match it up with, I like to call this the known pair. We have to match it with a known side that has, both of them. We need to have, we know the y and the sine y, so that's what we have to use here. Okay. So if you think about this formula, it's actually 4 pieces. We have the variable z in the upper left corner. Then we have sine z, we have y, and we have sine y. These things right here, let me highlight them. This one, and this one, we know those. We can actually fill them in. The idea is we want the variable, the unknown, to be the upper left corner, which is the z. That I don't know. Everything else we're going to fill in though, okay? So let's fill them in, and we'll see how this works out. So we're going to say z over sine z. So sine z will be sine 65 equals y is 14. Sine y will be 35. Just like that. Now, as long as we've done this the right way, which we have, the variables in the upper left corner, all we do every single time is cross multiply the sine 65 up with the 14, and then we're done. So z is going to equal to 14 times sine 65 divided by sine 35. And when you punch that in, use your calculator, you should get 22.1. And that's it. So the length of z, of that little z, would be 22.1. Now you could actually continue with this. You could go 180 minus 35 minus 65. You could figure out angle x next. And then if you know angle x, you could get side x the exact same process, the same exact steps right here, okay? So that's an example of how you would use the sine law to get a side. Now what happens if you've got to get an angle? So let's do another example here. This time we'll go back to the letter ABC. Okay, so say this is triangle ABC. Angle A is going to be 40. Little a will be 12. And little b is 9 over here. So I have a known pair. I know both of the a's. As far as the b goes, I know little b, but I don't know angle b. This is my mystery right here. That thing I can solve. I can't get any of the c's right now because I need to have part of the c's. I need to know one of the c values in order to figure out the other one, but I can get little b. So if I want to look for little b, I would do this. You start for, capital B. I'm looking for angle b. We're looking for the angle, so we're going to start with that. So sine b over little b equals, now we're going to match it with the known pair. The known pair we have is the a, so we're going to match it with sine a over little a. I put the angles on the top because that's what I'm going to solve for, is the angles. Now again, sine b is my variable. I don't know what capital B is, so this is ultimately my variable up here. But little b I know. That's going to be 9. Sine a will be sine 40, and little a is 12. So I filled everything in other than the upper left corner. Now to solve this, exact same process as the one I just did. This 9 is going to cross up here, and we're going to get sine b equals 9 sine 40 over 12. Now this you're going to punch in your calculator. So we're going to get sine b equals, you type in 9 times the sine of 40, hit equals, divide by 12. You're going to get some decimals. These decimals, I would recommend that you write out a minimum of 4 digits. When you get this, you're going to get 0.4821. If you round this too much, like let's say you put 0.5 here instead, when you get the angle for this, it's going to be pretty inaccurate. So I like to keep at least 4 digits here, and then I like to round at the very, very end. So your next step now is to turn this decimal and actually figure out what the angle of this is. So the way we do that is we use the second sign, or the sign inverse of this decimal. That will give us the degrees of this thing. So when we do that, you're going to get 28.8 degrees. Now, a lot of times we round it with degrees, oftentimes you round to the nearest whole number. So I would probably say that angle B is going to be 29 degrees. But it depends on the question, depends on the teacher, what they're expecting. But that's how you would do this question. So again, every single time you do a sine law question, what you want to do is you want to have your mystery value or your variable be in the upper left corner, and you want to fill in 3 out of 4 pieces in the formula. If you set it up the right way, every single time is a cross multiplication, and then you basically solve it, okay? So this is, like I said, a quick example. This is how I found an angle. The example above was how I found a side. And what you're always looking for is a pair of an angle with its opposite side. The sine law, again, just to recap, was A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. And you can flip it for sine A over A equals sine B over B equals sine C over C. We never ever use all 3 in one shot. You know, we make a pair, we make a group of 2. So do the A's and the B's or the B's and the C's, but we never use all 3 in one shot. And you can use it more than once, especially if you have to solve a triangle. If you have to solve a triangle, it means you got to find everything missing. So in this example I had earlier, you know, if I was asked to solve this thing, I mean, really, I haven't solved it. I've only figured out what Z is. I'd have to figure out angle X. And once I know angle X, then I can get side X using the same thing. I would go X over sine X equals Y over sine Y, and then get the next value. Okay? So this is just a really quick demonstration of how the sine law works. Hopefully it makes some sense to you, and you can try it out on some of your other triangles that come up in your homework.